Welcome back to Troubled, a podcast by survivors for survivors of institutional abuse and the general public. Our goal is to break the hypnosis of America's largest and most horrific open secret. Since the assimilation of the indigenous, which for the record, guys, is literally still happening, America has had a predatory preference for mass, legal, for-profit child abduction, trafficking, detainment, torture, and literal murder. This has been going on forever. And this is a global issue, but we're in the States, so we're going to speak about it from Turtle Island, where we reside. There is a heavy trigger warning on every single little bit of content that we put out there, whether it's on the podcast, our social medias, or our upcoming website, www.talktroubled.org. Trigger warning. Please understand that we are discussing subject matter that, while it happened to us as children, is not remotely appropriate for children. And unfortunately, for those of us who are survivors or just sensitive beings, this subject matter is practically traumatizing. We are discussing the rape and murder of children and straight up animal abuse. This episode doesn't have animal abuse, so you're welcome. We have had an exceptional amount of suicides, which I will find a better word to use because I'm offended by the word itself, in our community. This episode is dedicated to Joe Barnett, and we will be sharing GoFundMe information for his family, as well as information for you to get involved with donating for mental health support for survivors. If you are a mental health professional in the United States, or, service the United States, and you're willing to either do pro bono or very low skill mental health support for survivors, please email us, thetroubledpodcast@gmail.com. We have only 3 so far, and we desperately need to recruit more of you because our friends are dying. Let's get at it. All right, so it has been a few months since we have gotten all deep down and dirty with the whole Circle of Hope travesty unfolding. The American true crime, true story happening in real time, you guys. If you're on the social medias and you're following Amanda Househoulders and Chanel, both of which have been on this podcast, but it's been a while, and so both of them are back. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. Doing a 3-way through call. So there's been so much, so I really want Chanel and Amanda to fill us in and get us queued on some action items. So where do you even start with updates on this?
Oh gosh, there's so many.
Yeah.
We can start with August 14th and the 15th. The girls were removed by DSS and placed in different places, and a huge investigation was done, which resulted in a search warrant. And I don't know what came from the search warrant yet, but I'm hoping a lot of good stuff. So there's that.
Well, that's pretty big. That's a pretty big place to start. Okay. One thing we want to clarify to everybody when they're hearing about these closures, like with Lakeside and Circle of Hope. You said those girls were sent to various places. What does that even mean?
Some were sent to a
Joplin.
place in Joplin, Missouri, and some were sent to like foster care homes, like little families. Temporarily.
Okay.
While CPS was doing the investigation, I don't know what's gone on since then. I know some girls have been sent home. I don't know what's happened after.
And have you guys had any contact with any parents from any of these girls?
No. There was one parent that reached out to me, but he took his daughter out like 2 weeks before CPS came in and did all of this.
Okay, because of him talking to you, or that was before he ever spoke with you?
He didn't speak to me. He was speaking to other girls that had went there, but he watched a whole bunch of our videos and stuff like that, and started speaking to some of the survivors. And just something in him and his wife told them to go get their daughter. And literally on the way to go get their daughter, my mom and dad called them, like freaking out, yelling at them that they needed to come get their daughter. And they're like, whoa, calm down, we're on our way. And so basically another phone call came in, and the daughter's like yelling at them saying, I don't want to take this anymore. I'm tired of babysitting these girls because, as Chanel knows, The girls are the ones who take care of the girls. Like while my parents sit up in their office, go over the cross the street, go to town, like the girls are watching the girls. And
Yeah.
so she was basically just telling her parents all of that. And so as soon as they got to Circle of Hope, they took their daughter straight to the sheriff's
Sheriff.
department, and she gave her statement.
Wow, you guys. Okay. So because you've been getting your stories out there, you're now connecting with parents, you're connecting with girls that just got out of Circle of Hope. Also the media has been picking up, but can you just like plug your amazing little local reporter that's been doing a series on the girls? Because I'm loving her.
Catherine Skopek, and the editor is Miles Bright. They have been like absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Can't remember if they reached out to me in June or July, but the moment they reached out to me, Chanel can vouch for this. They've been like super kind and like wanting to make sure the story is accurate and just out there. They want to do all of the survivor stories, not just ours. They want to make sure all the survivors are heard. So
Yeah,
they've spoken to many of the girls from Circle of Hope. I think they're going to be bringing. Are they the ones that are bringing out the story once a week, or is it once every 2 weeks?
From what my understanding was, it was once every week.
Yeah, because they're going to bring out a survivor story once every week. Who did they do last time? Who was the
parents' stories?
Yeah, the parents' stories. Because also Kelsey's mum, she's reached out to you as well, hasn't she?
Donna, yes.
Yeah.
I guess she wasn't the first lady, but she's the first lady that I know of that contacted DSS. She is definitely the first lady that put it all over the internet and pushed as hard. Actually, in I think it was 2016 when I reached out to her, she was rooting for us, but she was doing a lot of other things within her life, so she was stepping away from it. But this year, actually 2020, I reached out to her and I sent her the link, and she called me and she was in tears, like happy tears. And she's like, Amanda, this is what I've been fighting for all these years. She's like, I contacted 9 different agencies. She even went as far as contacting the postal master, because Chanel can vouch for this as well. Some girls, when they got packages, my dad would have the girl open the package, and then the girl had to hand out everything in the package to all the other girls.
Yeah.
She didn't get anything. And so her mom wanted to get him on mail fraud.
Hey, I mean, you'll get what you can get with it, right?
Oh, dude, everything she did, I think, is so amazing because we have all of that documentation out there. And it's proof that it's been at least since 2007 that there's been documentation that it's been a bad place.
Yeah, because I think she got her stuff, it was 2007, because when I was looking online about my runaway stuff, all her stuff came up as well.
Yep.
With all the pictures and everything.
Well, to further solidify the plug though on these articles, this is the Cedar County Republican. And so no matter where you are, you can read this online, and please support these little local papers that are willing to cover these stories, because Chanel, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it months ago that you were doing all these interviews in the UK and we were like, oh, thank God they'll be able to actually publish these stories there, because Circle of Hope, of course, doesn't have a reach across the big pond. But what happened with all that?
Oh, it's been like, so basically I did a magazine article, but then it's shut down. For some reason it went to higher authority, and they said, well, no, we're not allowed to publish anything yet. And then I was talking to another company, and I just found out recently the person I was speaking to has left the company, and she didn't want to inform me. So, but they did say to me they really apologise, and they're going to be ringing me next week because they want to get me and Amanda on a podcast in their place. So I don't know. I've been pushing at it, but I don't know what's going on really, to be honest, with the media over here.
Yeah, well, we thought we were safe over there. I mean, we're not surprised when the media over here won't talk about it. I mean, other than the Cedar County Republican, like nobody would touch it at all until they officially announced the investigation. And then everyone was just like throwing your little like Cedar County reporter under like over, and they're like, let me get through. Like,
yeah, that was
oh.
frustrating.
She does
Stories
all the
coming from
work.
everywhere.
She had to fight really hard to make sure content stayed in the articles in the beginning, and then as soon as like, you know, the lawyers are like, go ahead, they you know, they report it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous hoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have been done sooner, but thank God it's done now. Well, yeah,
I'm
thank God it's done now. So it's been
yeah.
really good what's happening. Yeah, I'm very happy with like our accomplishment. I'm glad Circle of Hope is actually closed now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm seriously thankful for the three little small town heroes, Catherine, Miles, and James, because if
Yeah.
it weren't for those three, we would still be where we were at.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, 100%. Like, and those are the stories worth telling. And I don't know, how close are we to finally being able to talk with them or tell those stories about what epic, like real life heroes these people were? Like, are we able to even talk about this stuff yet? Like, I
I'm
don't
not
want to
sure.
blow up their spot. Oh, we'll wait.
But James, he's such a little heart, like sweetheart. I don't think he wants all of the publicity. I think he wants to remain James before all of this.
Okay,
I
we'll
don't think he wants all that.
talk
Yeah.
to him about what about the role that he played or that you're allowed to divulge, because I think that he did play a genuine real life hero for me.
He did. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
very akin to our favorite Alabama sheriff, you know, like,
Oh yeah.
right?
Charles Kennedy.
Yeah, and I feel
Yeah.
like for survivors like us, like having real life people like that, knowing they're out there and doing what he did and everything, it's just it just really feels good. It's like a band-aid. It's, you know, it's
We want to get them something. We don't know what it is yet, but we want to get them something that we can all sign and give to them. So
Oh, yeah, definitely.
you guys with your reunion. No, but seriously, it's been incredible how quickly this has been accomplished. I mean, this is why, you know, when we have such limited attention in life, it's like I focus so much on you guys because you're 100% for it, and you've done absolutely everything you needed to do. And I honestly, you know, I can't think of a program that got closed in like 8 months. I mean, I know that you've been working on it for years. I get it. But I feel like you set a goal, you know, when you started doing your whole, like, everybody listen to my story campaign, Pieces of Victory, the Hammer, everybody, you need to plug everywhere you've been because we're not going to cover all the side steps and details of like how this journey went. But this was incredibly quick, you guys.
oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Thanks to Janine. Like Janine has covered, I think she said 7 or 8 survivors alone of Circle of Hope. And she's been like pushing it. But not only is she pushing it, Chanel can also vouch for this. And I know you can too, Miranda. She's like a sister.
Yeah, definitely. She's always checking up with me on WhatsApp. How are you
Yeah.
today? She's always just so lovely. I can't
She
actually wait to meet her, to be honest.
she is like a true hero to the survivor community.
She is.
She's been working so hard, not just on Circle of Hope, but the
All of them.
Lighthouse, all of them, loads of places, and she works her ass off.
Yeah, she
She
does.
really does. So if some people listening aren't familiar with Janine Miller is a survivor of it was Victory Christian Academy at the time, right?
Yes,
And
our sister's school.
yeah, it's an IFB Lester roll-off program, and that's the one, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the one that turned into Lighthouse Academy?
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
it was Genesis by the Sea at one point as well.
Oh shit, you guys. Yeah, I bet. We'll just have to pull up Heal online and
Oh,
look
I
at the
know. Oh my
list. I bet
gosh.
it's like 6. It was probably also Elevations, you know.
Uh-huh.
I'm not even kidding. Like it's popping in my head. So Janine Miller wrote a book called Pieces of Victory, which you can get. Don't get it from Amazon, you guys. Fuck Jeff Bezos. Buy it from Janine's website. Get her to sign it, put something in it. And if you just want to bond hardcore with this amazing inspiration in the survivor community, her program, it's like a TV show. It's a talk show. Really.
It's so good.
It's amazing. And it's got all your favorite people, including Amanda and Chanel. And like I said, she's interviewed more of the Circle of Hope survivors than anybody, and their parents as well. And so Pieces of Victory on YouTube, you can binge away. A lot of the people that you've heard on this podcast and that you'll hear on the other podcasts, you can actually see them. And we hate doing video interviews. So like you don't get this often, you guys. So just check it out.
Yeah, she's really good too. She
Yeah.
handles the stories so well. So,
Yeah, and she's coming from that survivor perspective, so she's like
yeah.
very protective of you guys,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
you know, and creating that safe space for you to tell those stories, and that big sister energy. You're totally right. We need like as breaking code silence becomes like this mass public thing, and there's all like these new baby vampire survivors like coming out of their cocoons like cicada land. I think everybody needs to like remember that there were generations before us, that those of us who
Yes.
hopped on TikTok were not like the first people to talk about the troubled teen
No.
industry.
We were just
Okay.
the ones that got it to the younger generation and like TikTok basically. And if it weren't for Janine, Angela Smith, Jody Hobbs, and all of the other people, Miranda, like all of the other people that have been talking about it for years, I don't think it would be as big as it is now because they've been
Yeah.
doing all of the footwork online. We've just been
Yes.
sharing the stories, telling people to go look it up.
That's a good way
Okay.
to put it. And beyond
Definitely.
and in Beyond Online, they were the ones going to Congress and rewriting
Yes.
bills. You know,
Yeah.
like when we're sharing all my viral videos are literally just clips of them, you guys. Like
Yeah, exactly. They did all of the hard work. Well, they're the ones that we contact for advice.
yeah, they're the ones that dragged us into it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they dragged us in, and then COVID happened, and they have kids and stuff. So a lot of them were like, hold my phone. Like, you guys got this for a minute, right? And we're like,
Yeah.
yeah. We found TikTok. I was telling my own 14-year-old
Thanks
to get the
Miranda.
fuck off. Well, because my 14-year-old, you guys, like for a
Yeah.
year, I was like, let me see that. What are you doing? What are you doing? And she's just like singing with strangers, you know, when it was musically. And then it was Reddit, really, you know, Troubled Teen subreddit, you guys. Someone put up that one of Leela Jude where she was doing that put a finger down wilderness therapy challenge and I was
Oh
like, oh
yeah.
my God, this is brilliant.
Yeah, but she wasn't really like, if I remember correctly, was hers like she liked it there, right? If I remember.
No,
No.
no. Well, that's complicated, and I don't know that I want to because I haven't gotten her on the podcast yet. So, but you know what? I don't know that I want. We'll see. Whatever. So, yeah, Leela Jude. So you guys check it out. It was that viral one that y'all put in
Yeah.
Trouble Teen Reddit. So you're right.
Yeah.
That first one wasn't. I liked it. The first one was traumatizing. However, but mostly the others were making more of a joke of wilderness. So I want to remind you guys
That's what it
when
was.
we all.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I was gone for like 3 months. Where was I? Woo, starving in the woods." You know, and it was like, "Ooh, you guys," but it's like it kills kids. What's up? And so number one, a lot of those kids literally just went to wilderness, and I know that's hard for people to imagine that we're permanently dumped in these programs till they aged out. But some kids
Yeah.
really do just go for 3 months in wilderness and go home. And so there was a lot of that. And then number two, these kids are literally right out of these programs. They're 16 and 17 years old.
Yeah.
Right? So they haven't even
Yeah.
like framed this as trauma. Even if it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
3 months. Wow.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say,
So sorry.
I remember.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I remember,
You remember
when
what?
when I first came out with a TikTok, there was a guy that went to wilderness camp that was like all over my TikTok, like telling me that he had a great time there and stuff. And I was like, yeah, no, I get that. Like, it's honestly, ask Chanel, there were girls at Circle of Hope that I don't want to say they didn't have a bad time, but when they got out, still to this day, they don't see that it was bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So to us, it was, but there are some people out there that don't see that. And their story should be heard too. So it shows the whole like
From both
aspect of
sides.
all of it.
Yeah,
like,
because
the
some
brainwash.
people did get it. I'm not really like quite easy. You know what I mean? Some people
Quite
do.
easier.
Yeah.
Easier.
Yeah, they did get
Yeah.
it quite easier because they got like under Boyd's like wing, and they just literally went up the shirt colours, and they never got in trouble. I don't think they ever got restrained. They never really got any push-ups either. Like they literally just went
There's
straight up
even
there.
boys. I was gonna say there's even boys at Agape that still to this day tell us to be quiet because it wasn't that bad, but it's because I don't want to say drank the Kool-Aid, but they just learned very quickly how to act and not act, so they didn't get the harsh punishments. Like my friend, he called me yesterday and he's like, dude, Agape, he's like, I did witness a lot of stuff. He's like, but nothing ever happened to me. And I was like, yeah, I get that. And he's one that's told us to be quiet. I was like, but you still said you witnessed stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, also Lucinda from like Hepzibah House,
Oh.
right? There's that stuff too, like straight up.
Aunt Lucinda.
Yeah, Aunt Lucinda. You know, like what about people who came from things that were worse? And so
Yeah.
comparatively speaking, this wasn't so bad.
Yeah, that's also true.
Amanda, you just brought up Agape. So let's segue into that for a second. I would love to have that conversation. I don't know that we've really talked about Agape boarding school for boys in Missouri on the podcast. Maybe briefly during your episode, right?
I think briefly, because we brought up the Kelsos and how they were sent away there.
Okay. So, reminder to everyone, Amanda's dad worked at Agape before he started Circle. So have a lot of guys that started a lot of programs. Actually, Agape is like a breeding ground for new programs. And it's been around for what, 30 years?
Yes. It started in Othello, Washington, in 1990. So yes, 30 years.
Is the program in Washington still around?
No, it was actually shut down due to asbestos. And so instead of cleaning up the property and doing what law enforcement wanted Jim Clemenson to do, he picked up and moved with a guy named Nathan Day, actually, because he was a co-founder of Agape, to Missouri.
Okay, so this program is heavily abusive. Most people who are actually within the troubled teen industry like us have heard of Agape. You know, even if they don't know someone from Agape, it's like Tranquility Bay. Like everybody knows about Tranquility Bay, Casa by the Sea, you know, and Agape is definitely one of those. The whole family that runs it, from what you've told me in our endless conversations about it, is like frickin' some sort of backwoods alley inbred like mafiosa family where they're raping each other and sending the girls away and wiping the guys' records, right? Tell me more about that, girl. What's up?
Oh, yeah. So 2017, the grandson, Jim Clemenson's grandson, Jareth Clemenson, actually was caught raping one of his siblings. And she actually, instead of getting therapy or getting actual help, she got sent away to Circle of Hope. Her brother, from what I was told, he got an apartment in Branson, Missouri. But not even, I think it was 2019, he was caught again. But the charges this time, instead of saying 14 to 17, it says 13 to 17. And so he's a reoffender, and he got 4 months for that. Wow. But I've heard multiple. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Chanel.
Wasn't there two incidents? Because didn't we see something the other?
That's the reoffense.
The reoffense.
Yeah. But then Brian Clemenson, the guy who is now the head person, the owner, since Jim Clemenson has cancer, he, from what I've heard stories of, he's walked into a room when students were doing things to a kid and then just walked out. And so like it's things that have happened. They've been sued for rape in 2004. The victim actually won. It's just, it definitely goes on there. It's pretty messed up.
Yeah, as can be supported by the body trail at Agape. I don't know how much you're comfortable talking about, but Agape has been going through a lot lately, and I think it's important to raise awareness. So, I mean, what do you want to say?
Yeah, just this year alone, I've had 5 friends commit suicide. One specifically in his suicide letter brings up Agape. I've had another friend just this year alone tell me he wanted to speak out on it. And like no shit, 4 days later, he sends a picture of his wrist, from his wrist to his elbow, that he slit. trying to kill himself. And this guy has 4 kids, and he would have left his 4 kids. My friend Joe Barnett, who mentions his suicide letter, Agape, he left behind his wife and 3 kids. And his wife is having a really hard time because she's left to be a stay-at-home, a single mother, but she's also on disability, so she can't. It's just really hard on her right now. So she's going through a lot, and the effects of Agape last forever, and they don't just traumatize the students, they traumatize their families.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Is there a GoFundMe for his wife and children?
Yes, can we link it?
Absolutely. So the GoFundMe for him will be linked in the description of this episode, and we'll post it everywhere. So if anybody can and feels like supporting this family, this is pretty horrific. And I'm concerned that COVID is kind of putting these people in this position, where they can't get away.
Yeah, definitely. We've had 7, 7 including the suicide alone due to OD. So that I honestly do feel is also COVID putting a lot of pressure on them, because I don't know about you guys, but just being locked at home myself was really like
traumatized.
It just put me back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's it been for you, Chanel?
Oh,
Across the pond?
I think we might be going back into another lockdown, to be honest, and this is what everyone's saying. And then for 2 weeks in October. So that means I'll be stopped working again and everything like that. I don't think I could cope for another lockdown, to be honest. I don't like being locked up. It's just sorry, I'm really upset about the whole Agape thing. I just want to help them, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
their stories.
definitely.
Just proper like, well, I got tears coming down from my eyes.
I know.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hold on, let me put myself together. I just want to help them. I did put a post up on one of our pages to try and see if anyone can send short clips of that 5-finger thing, or saying "I see you, survivor," to try and see if we can reach out. But I don't want to push anyone to re-traumatize them. So hopefully, fingers crossed, some people will start reaching out.
Well, per the re-traumatizing, so Chanel, Amanda, and myself are all on the board of the Exposing Circle of Hope nonprofit. We have been in contact with a few, not many, not nearly enough mental health providers that are willing to offer either free or low cost, which we'll have to raise money to get donations to cover mental health access for survivors. And Agape is really our main focus right now. So, Amanda, if the audience would like to donate towards mental health support for survivors, how can they donate through the nonprofit? So it's a tax deduction.
Well, right now it's through the GoFundMe because for some reason we have too many members on the board, even though when I was setting it up, LegalZoom told me I can have anywhere between 5 to 10. And so I have 5 people on there, but apparently I have too many. Magic. So I have to fix that. And that's going to take however long until they get me that. I have my EIN number, but when I tried putting it into the GoFundMe, it's not popping up yet. So.
Okay. Well, we'll figure it out too. Cause there's a PayPal as well, right?
I do have a PayPal. Yes.
What is the PayPal?
I think .com. Let me
get
you the link. So
it'll be linked. There's going to be lots of links. We'll have the GoFundMe, we'll have multiple GoFundMes, because also there's a GoFundMe because the Circle of Hope girls are going back to Missouri, and that's another opportunity to deal with Agape. So if anybody wants to go deal with Agape in November,
November 14th and the 15th, we are having a protest outside of Cedar County courthouse, and that's going to be for Agape, Wings of Faith, and Circle of Hope. I know Circle of Hope is closed down, but we still need to get Boyd and Stephanie held accountable.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it'd be super cool if randomly like 1 million people listen to this and show up with us in Missouri.
That'll be
Yes,
awesome.
yes, it is open to the public. It is open to the public.
Please, if you guys like want to hang out with, our voices inside our bodies and like join us in a really worthy cause.
We
And
are asking if you went to a program, though, that you show up in a similar attire to what you were made to wear, because we want to show the numbers from the public to the students that had to endure these types of schools, so people can see the need, because we might have state legislators. I let Carrie Engel know, and she said that she is going to see if she can be there, and she's going to see if she can get any other state legislators there. And so we want to show the huge need for this.
yes, that also what Amanda's referring to is that, oh my gosh, do you have the quotes from that Dinglehopper guy? So, okay, I'm sorry, you guys, ADHD. Everybody forgive me.
I have it all the time.
Woo! So basically the question when the articles finally happened about Circle of Hope was like, how is this allowed to happen? Like, it's the only time this has ever happened, and Circle of Hope is the only one in Missouri, please. And it's because of the religious exemption, of course, for the IFB Lester Roloff programs. That's where you can really get them. And so there was a Dinglehopper comment, which, as promised, here's some commentary from a local lawmaker in Missouri about his BFFs, the householders who run Circle of Hope. He told the Star, and this gentleman's name is Stevens, forgive my inability to remember his name in the commentary after this. This was recorded a few days later. Stevens says, I'm real upset and worried that they're being crushed, they as in the householders. Their lives are being crushed over allegations that I'm concerned about. They're just desperate. They've devoted their lives to the care of these children, and now their reputations are being trashed and ruined. They're being vilified. They feel that they are completely innocent. He told the Star that authorities, the sheriffs, had broken down the door at Circle of Hope and took the surveillance equipment, and that's what he was told. The lawmaker said that he has a long familiarity with Circle of Hope and has known the householders for more than a decade. And says that dealing with troubled youth can be very difficult and challenging proposition. He says the teens know the system and know how to work it. These kids, this is a quote, that end up in these homes, they're practiced and expert manipulators. They just are. You may not want to hear that. We don't, but continuing, based on his experience with the householders for over a decade, he says that they've conducted themselves in a very upright manner. I know their character, and I know their heart, he said. I just have a hard time embracing the idea that they are serial abusers. Several times during his conversation with the Star, Stevens did point out that while he vouches for the householders as longtime friends who are deeply religious, he can't possibly know what has gone on inside the walls of Circle of Hope over the years. He says, I wasn't in a closet watching every move every day, he said. I don't lay claim to knowing everything that has gone on all the time. Were there lines crossed in their approach? There's no way for me to say so, and I want to make that clear. So Carrie Engel, who we'll discuss in a moment, is a new legislator in Missouri, and she also commented in this article with the Kansas City Star. She said that people can appear to be upstanding citizens in all other facets of their life and still harm children. She said, I experienced that a plethora of times during my career at the Children's Division, where someone who otherwise seems to be on the up and up has the capacity to hurt the people they're in charge of.
Stevens, okay.
What's his name?
The
Mike Stevens,
guy.
I think. Yeah.
Who's a policy guy in Missouri? That's what's up.
He's a lawmaker, I think, or a representative for Bolivar, Missouri, the town that they're close to.
Okay, I've never heard of Bolivar, Missouri. I'm sorry that this is why the world hears of Bolivar, Missouri.
It's actually a nice little town.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
They should be upset. They should be in front of this man's house because this is this is ridiculous. Okay, so this concept of these chicks are lying, these people didn't do this, but I never was there for it. This is the same as when my dad got, bless his heart, is like, oh, Donald Trump didn't rape anybody. Donald Trump wouldn't rape anybody. But even if Donald Trump raped anybody, I'm still going to vote for him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, how does that make any sense? Like, you're hurting my brain.
I know. Yeah.
You know?
I
don't. So at least Karen Ingalls understands. Is her name Karen Ingalls, or did I just have a little help?
Carrie Ingalls.
Okay. So Carrie Ingle understands that this is a ludicrous statement this man is making, and that we should not religious protection. When Jesus, the good Lord Yeshua, said, "Bring the little children to me," I don't think this is what he meant for. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't.
No.
Right? It wasn't some weird, creepy Grecian little boys with olives in their anuses, magical moment, musical, right?
Oh, hell no.
Oh,
no.
Where are the Christians speaking up about this?
We do. Thankfully, I've been having some reach out to me telling me thank you, or not thank you, letting me know that they are Christians and that they don't stand for this. And I do thank them so much for doing that. But more and more Christians need to start standing up for this.
Yeah.
More and more Christians need to start speaking out that this is messed up and this is not how we are, because a lot of them get offended, and when we speak out, and it's like, no, we're not telling you that you're this way. We're telling you that this is how people are using your religion against little kids, and they're traumatizing them forever.
I have met some really nice Christians, you know what I mean? Some really down to earth, people that I really like. It's just the people that own these places, they're just disguising themselves as Christians.
But you, Chanel, are a perfect example of the danger. So if I believe that, Yeshua is the way and the light and you need that, shouldn't I be really fucking pissed off that someone used him to abuse you and thus to turn you away from him forever? Because we talked about it more at length in your episode, so people can go back and listen to that. But briefly, who got coercively converted, Chanel?
Sorry, say that again.
Who got coercively converted, Chanel?
Me? What does coercively mean? Sorry?
Under coercion. Did you want to be baptized again?
No, I got baptized. I got forced baptized. I got restrained for 45 minutes because I didn't want to read the Bible. And I was brought up in Catholic as well, so I didn't really know much about Baptist till I moved to America. And I got forced to be saved by Jesus Christ so I could work up the shirt colours.
So number one, I was raised Catholic as well. I started in Montessori at 3 years old, and I went to an all-girl Catholic school prior, to the cult. And I was never abused in a Catholic capacity, and I was an altar server and everything. So my credentials are there. I've done every sacrament but confirmation, which was always my plan because I'm non-religious. Thank you. Anyways, so since when was Jesus Christ not our home dog as Catholic kids? Why did you even need to convert to Baptist? I don't understand that. Amanda, what is that? You're Baptist. Why can't I love Jesus as a Catholic? What's wrong?
Well, let's just say my mom was raised Catholic and my dad was raised Baptist. My mom grew up despising her mother for some reason. I wasn't there, so I can't speak on why. I just know my grandma never harmed me anyway. And for some reason, my mom despised my grandma and my dad despised my grandma. But my dad despised my grandma because my grandma didn't want my mom to be with my dad, and my grandma was very Catholic. And so I think that's where my dad's hatred towards Catholicism came from. And just my whole life, I was raised to believe Catholics are going to hell. Catholics are evil. Honestly, I was 18 when my grandpa died, but I was so traumatized thinking he was going to hell because he was Catholic.
Oh, no.
That's really sad. Yeah. But also, what about Methodists and Lutherans? Same. So everybody but Baptists.
Everybody but Baptists, but their hatreds towards Catholics were way worse.
I mean, I get it. Catholics were pretty freaking like big colonizers.
Yeah,
Um, so I dig it. That's why my family's Catholic, because of colonization, not because, their culture thought it was a good idea. In fact, they died to not. But anyways, like, I don't get it. Also, John the Baptist, like, from my memory, not only was he like a reincarnated folk, that's pretty cool, but was like super sexy and super like BFFy with his like cousin soulmate Jesus. So this whole thing is like pretty barbaric. Anyways, Chanel, because I feel like we didn't drive it home. Can like what's up? How did Berean Baptist Church allow
Berean.
children to be forcibly converted at their church?
Well, they don't. Well, Berean. Well, I don't know really if Pastor Abels knew about the abuse or if he. I don't know personally, but we just had to put a fake. We had to be fake. We had to be a robot. So we had to put a smile on our faces and act like we were saved. So yeah, and if we got baptized, we thought we were pleasing Boyd. You know what I mean? So
Well,
that's
and then the
like,
look on Abel's face when he would baptize the girls would be a huge smile, which would make the
yeah,
girls feel validated. And
yeah,
I don't know if you remember, Chanel, but there were times that Brother Abel's would walk by like the girls and then look at them and say, "Are you doing good today?" And like the look on his face
yeah,
wasn't necessarily nice. I do remember there was not a Catholic, sorry, an atheist. There was two
yeah,
twins at Berean. One was an atheist and one was a Christian, and he was not part of Circle of Hope. He was just a member of that church.
yeah.
And he was treated completely different than his Christian brother. Like I remember the atheist brother just sitting there so sad all the time while the other brother was
Yeah,
just up congregating with everyone else because everyone else would talk to the Christian brother.
yeah. It's just sad, really, because they should be just. It's not. A church is like meant to welcome people as well. You know what I
They
mean? No
don't.
matter, no matter what they want to believe, at the end of the day, they should be welcoming. They shouldn't be treating people like that, personally.
No, and I think that anyone that was aware of the abuse happening at Circle of Hope and was in an authoritative capacity, like a pastor, should be absolutely 100% held accountable. So again,
Yeah.
we will be in Missouri on November 14th and 15th, and we invite you to join us.
Yes.
Let's get some justice. Moving on. Speaking of let's get some justice, um, I want to be really fucking clear on what's going on with Rachel Kelso. So you ladies take the floor.
Well, when was Rachel? It was just like a couple of weeks before the girls got removed, wasn't it?
It
Then
was
she got.
in May, supposedly, that she got removed. We got a message from someone telling us that the person didn't want to be, they wanted to remain anonymous, but they found out Rachel Kelso was sent home to her parents. I think that's when Chanel, you reached out to Joel, right?
Yeah,
Rachel's brother, Joel.
yeah.
What did he say?
Oh, hold on.
I
Wait, let me just make double check, just because I think he said.
yeah,
Let me just double check. Hold on, 2 seconds, Joe Kelso. She wrote me a letter, and my top parents told me she is living with them. That's what he
and
told me.
so that's
That
basically
was
all.
June the 3rd. I messaged him. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically all we know. But come to find out, the anonymous person that let the girl know was Julian. And so I don't know. Honestly, someone else reached out to Joel and he said, "Well, she's no longer at that boarding school." And so I don't know if that means she's at a different boarding school, which that's how I took that comment. Because I wouldn't
That's
put
right.
it past her parents. But I don't know. I was contacted by her sister. And her sister says she's been trying to get a hold of her for years now, but every time she would contact Circle of Hope, my parents would say, "Your parents don't want you talking to your sister." And every time she's contacted her parents about Rachel, they say, "Oh, she doesn't want to talk to you." And she said she knows for a fact Rachel wants to talk to her, but she's being kept away from Rachel. So if you are a girl from Circle of Hope and are willing to write up a statement for her sister, Please do.
So her sister is currently trying to get access to her sister, who's a grown-ass woman.
A 30-year-old, yep.
You know, she has brain trauma from being physically and sexually abused, and like legitimate brain trauma. Her head was slammed into a wall as a baby.
And this is her older biological sister too, and they are refusing.
She loves her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they're keeping everyone from Rachel. So Rachel, basically what happened after you came on our podcast, was your dad, through I think Julian or someone, had been like, made a comment about not letting us use Rachel against them and
Yep.
getting rid of her. And then a few months later in May, that's when we hear that she's left. And I think it was true, because I think when they sent certain people to the school later, she wasn't there anymore. And then I don't see any reason to believe that she is with her parents, because her brother and sister have lost access to her.
Well, and she doesn't have a social media. I did contact a private investigator, and the private investigator couldn't find anything on her, which doesn't mean anything because her parents could be using their names, but that means that she still doesn't have a life for herself. And she's a 30-year-old woman that spent the last 14, 13 years in a boarding school, and she deserves to be happy.
Yeah, she's just. I hope she hasn't been put in another place, because she's been in circle of hope for how many years, and then gone to wherever else, and it's a total change. And I know quite like a lot of people that, like my son who's got autism, he can't deal with change. He really battles. I just want to know how she is and how she's feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When she's been locked away in a circle of hope for how many years, and then come into the world. If she is back with the parents, is she okay? Is she being abused by her parents?
Is she happy? You know what I mean? Like truly happy?
Is she truly happy? Is she out of that brainwashing stage? Because, you know what I mean? We just need.
Oh, well, reading her letter that was put on their website, most of the girls read that and said they couldn't even finish it because it made them sick to their stomach, because they're like, we know Rachel has a disability, but that didn't even sound like Rachel. That just sounded like Boyd and Stephanie's hatred all over it. Yeah. And they're like, we can't even read, like, we can't even read that. Because it was just worse than anyone else's brainwashing. I don't know how to explain it other than like, it was sad.
We just want to make sure she's okay.
She's not okay.
No.
Like, there's no way she's okay, you guys. Because, so for the record, the parents, her adoptive parents, were allowing her to be literally raped.
Well, I don't know if it was her that was raped. It was one of the adopted kids, supposedly, that was being raped, and they pinned it on the older sibling, the older Rachel's biological siblings, the older boys. And I actually got this message right after I created the TikTok from a family friend, and she said that the Kelsos are just as vindictive and abusive as my parents are, and she was telling me all these things, and she's like, it just isn't good for her there, because the one brother never got charged. He's now a pastor of a church, and if he's there, and he still, I don't know, it's fucked up.
There's no way this is okay, and I don't understand how we haven't found some sort of advocate for people with disabilities or something to step up and help her navigate her way out of this, because she does have places she can go. She can go stay with her sister, who is also a grown adult person. She can get out.
Cares, and she loves her, and she was so worried when we were on the phone. Like, honestly, I want to fight for her sister to get custody, because she does have places to go. And I think it would be a great place for her to find healing with her biological sibling that she hasn't seen in years, because her sister was locked up at Refuge of Grace in Stockton, Missouri, now known as Wings of Faith, another boarding school, while Rachel was locked up. So they haven't seen each other in over 15 years.
Yeah, this is horrific. Okay, we will also have an email where you can get in contact with Amanda. We'll have them get in contact with you first, and you'll facilitate it so we don't give out her information publicly. Yeah. Okay. So we'll have an email for Amanda that you can reach out if you have any affidavits that can support Rachel's sister in getting access to, or unfortunately, it might be custody of Rachel, because Rachel's technically co-guardians are your parents still, legally.
Yeah, because it's still up online as far as I know. They're still legally co-guardians. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're some random person who can help us figure out how to use that loophole to, the people who are under investigation for abuse, like, are legally the co-guardians of this adult woman with a disability who is literally missing. And unfortunately, and I'm not causing, but I'm pretty confident that she's in a facility right now, because I'm confident they want to institutionalize her for the rest of her life.
Well,
And
even if it's not an IFB place, who knows if they didn't lock
right,
her up in an abusive
it's an
supposed. Yeah,
institution. She's
exactly.
institutionalized. And if they're going to be doing this forever, you guys, they're going to try to do it as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
And now I'm concerned that to keep her away from us per this threat, that now we're going to have to follow up with forever, because, we caused it. We're linked with this, right?
Well, and she's like family to us too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, beyond, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm guilted in from the responsibility of causing potential harm. You guys love her and know her, and what if they put her in one of these overseas cheap ass programs? Well, how will we find her? So yeah, again, you can donate to Exposing Circle of Hope, which does have an EIN. It's a nonprofit. Definitely need to get a PI for that, but we really need to find an advocate who is super knowledgeable about people with disabilities and how to navigate this system.
Hasn't her sister got any rights because
Her
she's
sister,
biological?
from what I was told, when Rachel was at Circle of Hope, we couldn't do anything because we were not biological, and all we needed was to find her biological. Well, her biological sister that reached out to me changed her name, so I couldn't find her. And just some randomness, she found Rachel's picture, and she's like, Rachel, why does your Facebook name say Amanda Householder? And I was like, oh, no, I'm Amanda Householder. I just told her the whole story, and she called me, and...
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, we do need to get someone to help us on that, to try and figure something out. I don't know what the laws are over there.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Yeah, you had to literally escape and hitchhike across the country for your freedom here. Remember that?
Yeah.
No.
No, I don't remember it. Not at all.
That me? Yeah, and also, you guys, Chanel, who's in the UK, gets mental health access. That's like a thing. They care about your brain so you don't go crazy and then, seep toxic bullshit on the rest of society. What a great fucking plan. Yeah.
12th of October, I've got a therapist. I'm going to see a therapist for free.
Yeah, cute. And again, people, please donate, help us get therapy for free for other survivors, so our friends will stop fucking dying around us, because it's literally not a joke.
Yeah, our therapy fund will be called the Joe Barnett Fund. So eventually, once we get our website up, it will have a place you can donate to therapy and a place you can donate to lawyer fees. So.
Yeah, and I'm building a website today, which has literally broken my brain. I got talktroubled.org, and it'll be up this weekend. And I'll have all the links to all that shit too, because it would be so freaking amazing if okay, so random info, guys, that nobody cares about. So we've hit podcast charts, and by hit them I mean number 200 on podcast charts in random countries, right now in Ireland, in the true crime Woo! What's up, Ireland?
Go on, Ireland.
We're all moving there, by the way. Chanel, yeah, we're coming for you. I was there last year. My plan is in motion. We're just gonna get all of our stuff up and running so that Ireland thinks that I can, and I got to learn to say it without the multiple syllables. You guys, I'm so sorry. I'm colonized as fuck. But we're going to get over there and do our shit from there. But also Norway and Finland and Honduras. I'm yeah, you guys.
Oh, Honduras fuck you, American has charts. Schools there as well.
Yeah, that's why we have 2% of our listeners are in Australia, because they send them all over here, and they send those kids out as well.
I just found out the one that my parents worked at in Florida has one over in Honduras.
Was so cheap, you guys, because you've seen everybody's seen the insides of the schools that they have overseas, right? You guys have seen like
Oh, I
even
saw
like
this
Casa.
one. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it's just like dirt, and
Denmark.
I mean, no offense, because like literally I live camping. I literally have no utilities. Like I literally am camping. So like no, I take no offense, me, thank you. But like if you're paying 70 grand a year for your kids to live on dirt floors, like what like you can just literally make them camp at home. Like
Oh,
honestly,
this one was really nice, but
really.
yeah, it was really nice. But okay, so the first home we worked at, they did a lot of exploiting of their children. Not saying that the rest don't, but this one would go around at least, I think it was like 3 months out of the year, singing at different churches, having kids tell stories. Like there was this one girl, and I'm gonna tell you, I was traumatized from hearing this story. But she told a story that her dad pulled her up to this home to drop her off, pulled her mom out of the car, shot her mom, and then shot himself after and in front of her. Um, and then like years later, when I was 18, I was on her Facebook as a friend, and she's like tagging her mom and her biological mom and dad and things. And so I started wondering if they had kids like tell fake stories. But if you look at this place in Florida, it's gorgeous. They had places like Chick-fil-A donating food, like pounds of chicken, like daily. They had Chase Bank would give us so many boxes. Like I, as a staff child, got boxes upon boxes of toys. They had the Albertsons school. Why can't I think of it? Grocery store giving the kids money for Christmas. They exploited those kids. They also have their own thrift store. So like they put the money into things, but like those kids, from what I remember, weren't the happiest there.
Going to read pointers from the Kansas City staff that Boyd and Stephanie Householder have said. They're saying that the girls are apparently angry and bitter, and they want want to blame somebody. The girls that are making these comments and stuff, they have gone nowhere in life. The girls that are praising us have gone to college, have a career in the military, have career in office building as secretaries, and so forth. Boyd also said that we did restrain, adding that it was not for an hour, but 20 minutes at the most. Stephanie also said, and then she turns around and changes the date, like, oh, excuse me, I was mistaken. It happened 3 months earlier. That's a little fishy to me, Stephanie Householder said. And they told him she was 17, but when they came back, it was unsubstantiated paper they sent. They said she was 16 at the time. She was very clear that it was, quote, consensual. Now all of a sudden it's rape. And that's when we started having all these big problems with the allegations. We actually appealed it, but they've not even allowed us to go to court yet for that appeal. Boyd's household also said that mistakes have been made. When he asked what he meant by that, he noticed 2 incidents. One, he said, was when he asked him what military boot camp was like. He said, so I got them up at 4 o'clock in the morning. We did exercises, PT, came in for breakfast, went back out and did PT before school, said Householder, a Marine who served in Vietnam. I was advised I wouldn't do that if I were you, so I stopped it. He also used to allow the girls to box each other. I had one girl, she wanted to box another girl because the girl was a bully and picking on her. He said, I went out and bought boxing gear, everything to keep it safe, mouthpieces, the whole works, and let them box. The bully became so. I had to pull her apart. She got her arm underneath another girl's arm and dislocated her shoulder, so I stopped that. My British accent, isn't it? That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
We just heard your daddy talk shit in Chanel's accent. It's so much better in your accent, Chanel. I'm like almost less offended.
I know. I love her voice.
I can't actually believe what he actually wrote, to be honest. Like,
Oh, I know, Chanel. You need to talk about yourself and how great you're
Yeah,
I
doing.
know,
seriously,
right?
Chanel, how shitty are you doing?
I
You're
know.
I know.
the America's Most Wanted runaway. Obviously your life is shit. What's up?
I know. Everything's going right on my side of the pond. Like, you know what I mean? I'm now a security guard. I've got two beautiful kids. You know what I mean? And I'm also working to start my own like business on the side, doing bouncy castles and candy floss
Oh, that's
machines.
awesome.
A road like one of these cowboy rodeo thingies, bull riders. I'll be renting them out and doing
Yeah.
parties and fairs and stuff. So I'm just working on that at the moment. Obviously, doing the advocacy work, and I'm hoping to be moving next March as well.
Hmm. Well,
Yes,
that well done.
I know, and everything's going positive in my life at the moment. So just to let you know, Boyd, I'm not unsuccessful or what you're saying in your letters with that news article. Like, I can't believe actually you said all that just because I didn't join the military and got,
Become a
become a
secretary.
secretary. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I'm happy and I'm finally glad that we're speaking out on the abuse that was happening there. So stop trying to point the fingers and realize that what you did is wrong to these girls, and not even these girls, to these boys in the Agape. You need to realize what you've done wrong. That's what you need to do, and stop pointing the finger.
And
Have you
little
heard that saying? Have you heard
babies.
that saying? Stop pointing fingers, because when you point a finger, three fingers are pointing back at you.
He used to say that to
Is that what I
us.
used? Is
Remember?
that what you
Yes.
said? Was it always?
Yes, he would say
Oh my god!
that
See, there you go. Stop pointing fingers.
to us.
Wait, Amanda, what were you
Uh,
saying about the little baby?
little babies, like little 8 and 9 year olds. He
Yeah.
was restraining them after we left, but he was restraining like my son is 7 and his bones are so small. I could never
No.
imagine having to do that while I was there. I honestly I don't know what I would have done. I would have cried for sure. But he was restraining, and when I saw the pictures of the girls, they looked like they were 4 and 5.
No. Sickening. Like, he needs to start, like, okay, now this has happened. He just needs to start realizing, like, okay,
Stop being a
yeah, stop being a
coward.
coward. That's what you need to stop doing. Because at the end of the day, like, you can't keep on going like this. And everyone gets caught out in the end. That's what he used to say to us as well. Truth will come
The
out.
truth
Yeah,
will
the truth
be.
will come out.
Well, the truth is coming out.
It's
And
already come out.
Yeah, and they're not sitting with it very well.
No,
well,
they're not.
I love that they originally released that letter a few months ago, discrediting all of you. I think, is that when they alluded, Amanda, that you're a Satanist,
Oh
druggie,
yeah, that's a
you
letter
know?
about my grandma and everything as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
magic. And then they told then them and their attorney no longer were responding to media. And then they came out with this. But then also in the meantime, they've been stalking the girls on TikTok and social media and calling their employers and
Mm.
harassing them. And I mean, what the hell? Like, what?
Oh, and then did you see what my mom said about the consensual?
No, wait, what?
Huh?
Okay, so in the media, we'll read it, but in the news report, my
Oh,
mom
yeah.
said something about how it clearly stated consensual and not rape. Like she was okay with Carly having sex with her husband. Like the way she said it
Mm.
was like, it wasn't rape, it was consensual. Like it was okay because my husband was having sex with her and she wanted it. When Carly was being raped.
Yeah. She also said that, oh, because Carly changed the date as well. Well,
Yeah,
everything,
Carly changed her statement.
yeah, changed the date, like dates in her statement. Well, everything was such a blur. We don't remember the days that happened in that place because we blocked it out.
Dude, no, you can't. You can't fucking remember even when you first leave because you don't really. I mean, yes, you have to write the date on your goal card, But if you were like anything like me, like you disassociate yourself. And so like you have imaginary friends or you have imaginary scenarios going on in your head because you're not fucking there.
Yeah.
Word. Word. Yeah, something really creepy that you'd mentioned per your mother thinking this sexual overlap is a gray area. You had mentioned on another podcast, I think, about when your parents were restraining and then like making out. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They used to do it quite a bit.
So
Jeez.
Yeah.
yeah, it's no, someone explain that for the audience and not my voice.
So we would all, you know how like we would all have our places, like Chanel would be on the legs, another girl would be on the other leg, I would be on the arm, another girl would be on the arm. My dad would be on their knee, or his knee would be on their back of their head. And when he would get too tired, him and my mom would switch places and they would literally peck kissing while they're switching. Or when they would take breaks, they would just kiss. Or even after, they would just kiss. And it was weird because they were always in like the most lovey-doveyest mood after, but they were never. Ashina, how often were they lovey-dovey?
When,
They
yeah,
hated each
they
other.
didn't really like, you know what I mean? It was only really then when they were restraining people. Otherwise, you didn't really see them kissing or anything like that. It was just when they're restraining, really.
Yeah, you guys, that's twisted.
And then, yeah, and then like looking back on my childhood, it was the same way. Like they would bond after, and it would just be a weird type of bond after they literally beat the shit out of me and my brother. And so like they're sadistic.
Yeah, they are. I'm glad you didn't catch it. You know, you escaped that. Something that I think we might want to clarify if you're up for it. When you were on this podcast in March, we talked about someone raping your brother.
Yes. So back in March, we posted stuff online and my brother had reached out to me and he spent hours on the phone crying to me about this rape. And from the time it happened, that's all I knew it was. Like, even the girls I would talk to, they never really spoke on it. They were just like, yeah, this is what we were told. My brother, Nate, he told me, he's like, I don't think it was rape. I think Julian and her had like a thing and they were doing things together. And so, like, talking to Julian, I honestly, he's my little brother. So I believed him. He was 12, she was 17. Like, who would know better, you know? I started thinking more on it because my little brother has always been a big kid. Chanel can vouch for this. He was a black belt in karate. And by the time he was 12, I'm pretty sure he was a second, like he had a double black belt or something like that. And he was like 6 foot something. And I was talking to Maggie and I was like, Maggie, I know you don't remember much about the situation, but do you think she would be willing to talk to me about it? And Maggie's like, Amanda, that night, I saw her running across the street because they have 2 houses, 2 properties, and they're both across the highway from each other. So girls were always crossing this unsafe highway. And she's like, I saw her face and it was ghost white. She's like, she was frightened. She asked me and she's like, this is not a normal thing. Chanel can even vouch for it. Girls are not normally allowed to change clothes. And so she's like, Maggie, I have to change my clothes. Maggie, I have to change my clothes. And Maggie's like, why do you have to change your clothes? And she's like, I spilt tea on my clothes. And Maggie said, when I looked down at it, it was all white. And she's like, I knew it wasn't tea. And she's like, so I was like, go, just go change your clothes. So I reached out to the girl and she told me she wants to be very clear. She understands that Julian is a victim of the cult-like setting and watching my dad get away with things. She understands he was a little kid, but what happened to her was rape. She was in the house across the street cleaning because that was her job, and she was the only one across there besides Julian. Julian, this 6 foot 12-year-old, tackles her to the ground, is holding her shoulders to the ground, and she's like, Amanda, all I could do was put my hands over my vagina. She's like, I've never had sex. She had spent most of her life in a boarding school setting. And so she's like, I didn't even know what cum was. She's like, I do know now. She's like, all I knew was I wanted it off of me. All I knew is I just wanted this off. And she had witnessed months before another girl, Maggie also witnessed this instance too, get pinned to a chair and dry humped by my brother. And this girl was belittled in front of everyone, made to tell her parents it didn't happen. And so this girl understood that she wasn't going to, no matter what she did, she was going to be labeled a rapist. So she just did what she was told. She wrote the letter that my parents forced her to write and sent it to her mother. My parents kicked her out to a different boarding school, I think, at this point, if I remember correctly. And by the time she got out, when she was 18, her mother said she wanted nothing to do with her because she raped that little boy.
So what's incredible about this is the level of injustice for this woman, because she's not within any statute of limitations, right?
No.
And then
No.
no one believed her for a decade.
Yeah, not only did she lose her parents, her whole reputation was destroyed. She had to change her name.
Bless her, man.
And there's no way for us to hold them accountable for what they did to this girl.
No. And I'm not necessarily sure she wants it because, like I said, she says she understands, but she does want to see justice happen for all the other girls.
Yeah. And I just wanted to make sure that we clarified it, because the narrative that we told was perpetuating, the lies against her that just destroyed her fucking life. So I'm glad we had an opportunity to correct that. I wish there was a way to correct it for her. I hope that there's a way somehow that she can at least be part of enough justice that she feels some of it for herself. So if we can give her access to opportunities for that when she's ready. But is this the rape allegation that your parents named you as a witness on?
No.
I don't think so. They named me on one February 26, 2009, and they kicked me out January sometime. So I wasn't even there. I was celebrating my birthday in Florida with my grandma because we spent a whole week celebrating me, because my grandma has always been the best at celebrating birthdays. So I wasn't even there. I was in Florida having the time of my life.
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I didn't see it. I just remember being called into the living room and being told that our parents were going to be told and the police were going to be called or something as well. But I don't think any of that happened. But it was with a staff member and one of the students. It was with Ron Sheldon. And one of the students.
Did the police ever show up, or do you ever remember the police coming?
No, I don't remember the police, but we got told that our parents, don't say anything. Our parents are going to be told, and so's the police, but I don't think.
Oh, and then
nothing got
this
told.
guy went back and worked at Agape.
Yeah.
Wait, which guy went back?
He's no longer there.
Ron Sheldon.
Ron Sheldon. Agape, my parents actually contacted Agape to find out how to handle this situation. And and so that's how they got to figure out how to handle this situation. And then he ended up working back at Agape with his wife until this year. No, not this year. I think last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. He was living at Circle of Hope with his wife and his newborn baby as well.
Yeah, she just had the baby too. Just had the baby.
And he raped one of the girls at Circle of Hope?
Yeah.
Not just one. There's been other girls that,
But the only one, that one was in 2009.
That's the only one that came out. Yeah. No, it was all in 2009, but that's the only one that came out.
Yeah.
There were other girls that have come forward and told Naomi that it happened to them as well.
It's like, it never ends. The list just keeps, and even with my own program, it's been like a decade since they closed. Probably not, like 5-6 years, whatever. It feels like forever. And I'm still having new friends pop up and being like, no, yeah, he sodomized me too. And it's like, oh,
Oh my
Cool.
God.
That's great. Like we,
And that's
you know.
Yeah.
the Music Man,
Yeah,
right?
but there's multiple predators at my program too, just like your dad's school. I mean, Circle of Hope,
Yeah.
they weren't even around for a decade, and we've already got 3 rapists that we've,
Three.
at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
we're at
Yeah.
least 3 rapists in one program that was only open for 10 years. Mine was open for 30 years. It had at least 6 rapists that I know about. One that was there the whole time who was preying on boys and girls the whole time, openly. I mean, there's no way your dad didn't know about either of the other rapists
Oh,
under his
no.
roof.
There's no way. Well, and he knew about Ron, and he knew about Julian because they made all of the girls that Julian sexually assaulted, they made sign or write a letter that it was consensual or sign a statement saying it never happened.
Right. I'm like
Jesus
literally
Christ.
picturing cigar breaks in the evening where these predators are talking to each other about,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Figuring out.
yeah, like who, this shit's ridiculous.
Well, then Agape, like 30 years, and I want to know how many sexual predators have gone through there. I know multiple friends that were
Yeah.
sexually molested there and sodomized at Agape.
Right.
And it's
yeah, and Agape is related with Circle. All these, it's like
Yep.
there is genuinely a predator club where all these people are learning how to get parents to pay them insane amounts of money to rape their kids.
To abuse. Yep, to abuse and rape their kids.
Literally, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the way I look at it, you guys. Just
Yeah,
Oh, it is.
definitely.
some childhood memories from the 3 of us. You're welcome, everybody.
Oh God,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Oh, also things, guys, make sure that you RSVP, get your tickets for NYRA, the National Youth Rights Association. Their annual conference is coming up in October, and Amanda and I are both going to be on the Troubled Teen Industry panel. So
Awesome.
that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
We have Gabe too. I don't know if we know anyone else on the panel, but it's the 3 of us. We know each other, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know Gabe is gonna be there. I know you're gonna be there. I don't think I know anyone else that is going to be on the panel, but I do know you three.
Yeah, we're half the
us three.
panel, you guys, so it's gonna be great. It'll be fun. So you guys want to be there, so RSVP for that shit. And also, Chanel and Amanda are thinking of coming on and regularly, however often they do, continuing to do the coverage for Circle of Hope so that we can talk about it a little bit more regularly.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Covering the Lester Roloff portion of it, if that's at all possible. Because
that's a big rabbit hole, though, man.
Huge.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
I was just going
we can
down
start
and
with
down.
episode 1.
You could that's all you could do is just try to start. I know the Lester Roloff stuff. I'm really hoping that you guys are the ones who crack the official connection with Synanon.
Yeah, I was looking into that as well when you told me to.
Yeah, you were looking into Chanel, give us a little elevator pitch. What do we have to look forward to on your random little give us a historical thing on the Oxford group?
Oh no, I've got to find my notebooks.
Oh no, we put her on the spot.
Put me on the spot. I've got my notebooks somewhere, and I'm lying in bed.
I think that it's currently the Litchfields, right?
It's currently 3:18 in the morning in England.
Oh no, you guys! That is a super subtle way for us to wrap this bitch up. But yeah, lots of stuff coming soon then, so you'll be fine. And we're gonna have shit tons of links in this episode description for everything that we talked about. So just follow that over.
Awesome. That sounds like a plan, Batman.
Follow our signal.
Right.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, I love you.
Love you.
Love you guys.
Okay, bye.
Trigger warning. What I am about to read is extremely heartbreaking, but extremely important. With the permission of my friend Michelle, I am about to read my friend Joe Barnett's last words. It is extremely important for people to understand the lifetime effects the troubled teen industry has on people. What Agape did to my friend and how it affected him and now his wife. These places don't just affect kids, it affects their families in the future as well.
Let me die. It would be a lie if I said I wasn't crying. I'm going to miss you, growing into what is you. Why won't you let me die? Every day I lie in pain. Please just say goodbye. Let me go before I'm insane. Every day that I wake is another nightmare. I take these pills, smoke this weed, so I don't really care. Why won't you let me die? And a failure as a father in every way. Failed every way as a husband for 10 years straight. Why won't you let me die? I was raised in a way I don't want you to feel. Every day I become my parents is real. I just want you to grow without me fucking you up. Every scream, every swing, I just want to throw up. You have to let me die. Every day that I wake and every breath that I take needs to be the end. Needs to be the end. I still hear all your voices echoing in my head, haunting me forever. You'll be better when I'm dead. Better off when I'm dead. I have a terminal illness. Depression kills. I fought it hard for 8+ years, and I've lost that battle. That's a decision I have made. This is the end of my life. I can't take waking up anymore. Every day is torture. Every day, all day. All I think about is dying, being dead, being gone. Nothingness. I have to hide this from my family because I know they will try and stop me, but only delay the inevitable. I will miss my wife so much. She's done so much and fought so hard. Her hardships are worse than mine. She is the strong one. She has been my rock. After boarding school, I never learned to share my trauma, to let others in, so she never saw the real pain. I never let her in on my struggle. This life I have, this isn't living. This is dying. I have been dying a long time now. I've decided when Congress passed the CARES Act, that was it for me. I was gonna take that money and leave it for them to help as best as I knew how. It's over tomorrow at noon. I will file for unemployment one more time, and I will make up an excuse to leave the house. I'm gonna go buy a gun, go to my car, and load it. Get out of my car and be free. I've been taking a lot of acid recently. My wife thinks it's to help the depression, and it used to be. And it has amazing abilities to do just that. But that's not why I took it the last few weeks. I took it to prepare to die, to mentally prepare myself to end my life. I wish I could have been honest with everyone. I wish I could have said goodbye. Especially to my sons, Jax, Brody, and Brady. I love you more than anything. But I am a terrible father. I don't want you to grow up to be like me. Be like your mom. Be strong. Be kind. Take care of yourself and help others, even when it's a burden. I wish I could see your first crush, your first win, your first graduation and marriage and kids. And all the milestones in between, but I can't. I had to go. I don't know if you'll ever understand or forgive me for that, but I hope you remember how much I love and care about you. Michelle, I love you more than anyone I've ever loved in my life. I chose you. I failed you. For that, I'm sorry. You deserve so much better than I can offer you. You're my angel. Forgive me. Forgive me.
So, Miranda again, I would just like to apologize to Amanda Householder and also thank her for putting herself through that, which was obviously not easy. This is the dark side of breaking our code of silence and telling our story. We ask our friends to put ourselves in these positions so that you, the general public, can hopefully really feel and understand the pain, the suffering in our community. Every time that a number is added to the list, this is a person with a family, and the ripple effects go on and on. If you don't exist in a community where you're watching and counting your friends drop beside you, then I don't know that you can understand what this is like. I don't have words for it, but we are in a very surreal final destination countdown. And the people that we love the most, that are our biggest supporters, that we rely on the most to walk this path with us, are the ones that are the most at risk, including ourselves. None of us are spared this trauma or the consideration that our number's on the list and the concern of when it's coming. I hope that bearing this accomplishes something. And so please, again, the donation link, the GoFundMe for Joe's family, is in the description here. We'll be posting it everywhere. Most of us are not in good financial situations. I think this is global. I'm literally camping. So we understand if you don't have money to support his family, that's fine. But if you could use other forms of currency, such as prayer, if that's not offensive to you, praying is amazing. We need that. But also just, share the GoFundMe, get it out there. Let's amplify it. Joe's wife is now a single mother with 3 children during a global pandemic with no job. And she now has an excessive trauma bill for the death of her husband, as well as funeral costs. And just the fact that she has to support her family while dealing with this intense trauma during a global pandemic. So please support her if you can. And also reminder that Exposing Circle of Hope is a nonprofit. We are opening the lines to accept donations for mental health support for survivors. And we do have 3 providers that are willing to offer incredibly low cash scale so that we can raise the donations and pay to get our brothers and sisters into this so that they're not losing their fight in the meantime. So if you would like to donate to that, you can send it over on PayPal. Our Gmail for that is mycircleoftruth@gmail.com. And again, everything is linked in this. And again, we thank you for facing the shadow with us. None of this is easy. We know this isn't some sort of feel-good podcast, and so we do appreciate everyone and their courage and fortitude in facing America's most open secret of institutionalized child abduction, trafficking, detainment, torture, and murder. And so until next time, it's time to save the kids. The kids are not all right. Please subscribe and review us so that more people can hear these stories. Thank you again.